Hello everyone, I'm Srikar Kasi from Princeton University. Today I'll be talking about our recent work towards quantum belief propagation for LDPC decoding in wireless networks. This work is a collaborative study with my supervisor, Professor Kyle Jamison. Computational processing from base stations today is being shifted and aggregated into more centralized locations, a concept often referred to as a centralized radio access network. In this type of architecture, the centralized data center needs to process heavy computation within a given time in order to maintain the low latency requirements of the network. With the ever-increasing demands of users, there is a need to speed up the baseband processing while also maintaining reliable communication in the centralized data center. One of the key components of mobile cellular baseband processing is the error correction code. Error correction code is a construct that adds parity bit information to the data transmission in order to correct the bit errors the channel may have introduced into the data. At the transmitter endpoint, we have an encoder encoding a user message, and at the receiver endpoint, we have a decoder trying to correct the bit errors the channel may have introduced into the data. There are several types of error correcting codes currently in practice, such as LDPC codes, turbo codes, and polar codes. In this study, we particularly investigate about LDPC codes and decoding of LDPC codes because of their dominant usage in today's wireless networks. LDPC codes are being utilized in 5G new radio traffic channels, DVB-S satellite communication standards, and Wi-Fi protocol families. They are also being utilized in near-Earth communications and being considered for inclusion in deep space protocols. The benefits of LDPC codes include their support for inherent decoding parallelism and their capacity achieving error performance. But these benefits are realized practically by a computationally complex decoding process. Let us understand how LDPC encoding works. Each LDPC code is characterized by a parity check matrix, a two-dimensional parity check matrix. Each row in parity check matrix represents a check constraint, and each column represents which check constraint a bit node participates in. The parity check matrix can be graphically visualized using a TANA graph representation, as shown in the figure here. In the figure, Ci is a check node and Bi is a bit node, and an edge between Cm and Bn represents Hmn being 1. In the figure, we can also observe that each Ci is connected to 4 bit nodes, and each Bi is connected to 2 check nodes. So this type of code is called a 4,2 regular code. If U is a k-bit user message and G is a generator matrix corresponding to H, parity check matrix, then the encoding is fairly simple. Encoded message is constructed by computing UG. This kind of encoding ensures that bit sum at every check node is 0. Meaning that in the figure we can see C0 is connected to B0, B2, B4, and B6. So this kind of encoding ensures that the sum of B0, B2, B4, B6 is 0. Decoding of LDPC codes classically is done via the belief propagation algorithm, and traditionally the BP algorithm is implemented on FPGA or ASIC hardware. But what are the problems with classical decoding? Accurate decoding results require a high likelihood bit precision, and in order to implement a high bit precision on hardware, we need more resources. Greater throughput requires higher decoding parallelism, and in order to implement a higher decoding parallelism, again hardware demands more resources. BP algorithm also requires several serial message passing iterations in order to converge to a final result, which impedes throughput. So these trade-offs overall induce network designers to compromise between decoder line rate and decoder operation line rate and precision. We implement fully parallel LDPC decoders with 8-bit precision on Xilinx UltraScale 440 FPGA. Our implementation of a 2,3 regular code for block length 1944 bits covers around 72% of the resources, and for a 4,8 regular LDPC code with 2048 block length does not fit into that FPGA. But what is the problem? But practical block lengths are higher. In Wi-Fi, block lengths reach up to 1944 bits. In WiMAX, block lengths reach up to 2304 bits. And in DVB-S standard, block lengths reach up to 64,800 bits. As a result, BP decoders today are partially parallel, and the full potential of LDPC codes is not being realized. In this paper, we investigate if quantum computing can be helpful in realizing the full potential of LDPC codes. The outline of the following talk is as follows. Like, I'll talk about quantum annealing and then about our main design, quantum belief propagation, and discuss about our experimental results. What is quantum annealing? Quantum annealing is a heuristic approach or a heuristic algorithm that aims to find the minimum energy configuration of an Ising model problem. And the fundamental units of representing information in the quantum annealer are called quantum bits, which can take on a continuum of values. Essentially, the input to a quantum annealer is a QUBO or Ising model problem, and the output is the minimum energy configuration of that problem. The workflow follows. We need to design a QUBO first. We need to represent the problem of interest as a QUBO form. And then we need to map the QUBO onto the physical QA hardware. And this mapping process is called embedding. After mapping the problem onto the hardware, the QA can solve it directly. Let us see the resources of a quantum annealer, how superconducting qubits work, and how magnetic couplings work. At the beginning of annealing process, each qubit is initialized to a superposition state. And at the end of annealing process, each qubit ends up in a particular 0 or 1 classical state. And the user can give preferences on whether the qubit should end up in a particular 0 state or 1 state. How are magnetic couplings used? Magnetic couplings can be used to correlate the behavior of qubits. A strong negative coupling means that the two qubits will take same value in the solution the machine outputs, and a strong positive coupling means the two qubits will take opposite values in the solution the machine outputs. So the QA takes the entire set of these preferences of each qubit being 0 or 1, and pairwise preferences of qubits being equal or opposite as a large optimization problem, which is typically expressed as a quadratic polynomial of binary variables. This is a QUBO form. Here E is the energy value, QIs are problem variables, HI and JIJ are problem parameters called bias and coupler strength. Essentially, HI and JIJ are the values that are programmed onto the QA hardware using a programmable on-chip control circuitry. The hardware of a quantum annealer is the state-of-the-art hardware graph is a chimera graph. Nodes in the figure here are qubits and edges are called couplers. And the group of 8 qubits is called a unit cell. Let us understand how the process of embedding works. Let us take an example problem, J12 Q1 Q2 plus J13 Q1 Q3 plus J23 Q2 Q3. So the direct representation of this problem is shown in figure A, but a 3-node fully connected graph structure does not exist in the chimera graph on a figure on the left. So in order to realize this problem on the QA hardware, we need to map one of the logical variables onto a physical realization consisting of 2 variables. So in this example, we map Q1 onto Q1A and Q1B. So Q1A and Q1B represent Q1. And in order to make Q1A and Q1B agree with each other, they must be coupled with a strong negative coupler strength. This negative coupling strength is called J-ferro. This strong negative coupling strength is called J-ferro. Now figure B can be directly realized on the QA hardware. Let us understand our QUBO design, quantum belief propagation. Our objective function is a weighted linear combination of 2 terms we have created. One is an LDPC satisfier function to ensure that the checksums are satisfied at every check node. And the other is a distance function. Distance function finds the correct decoding answer using the received information. So what is the working of these functions? The LDPC satisfier function leaves all the valid code words in the 0 energy level, but raises a cost penalty to all the invalid code words. The distance function distinguishes the true transmitted message from all the valid code words by separating the energy bands of both the valid and invalid code words. How do we formulate LDPC satisfying constraint? The only LDPC encoding constraint is that the modulo to bit sum at every check node is 0. So if Ci is a check which is checking 3 bits, x1, x2, and x3. The encoder constraint is then x1 XOR x2 XOR x3 is 0. This implies that the linear sum of x1, x2, x3 is an even number. So in order to represent this as a constraint, we represent this as a constraint using quantum bits, q1, q2, and q3 respectively, meaning that q1 extracts x1 at the end of decoding, q2 extracts x2, and q3 extracts x3. So in this constraint, we can observe that this is of the form whole square. So since a scalar function the minimum of a scalar function is always 0, in the minimum energy state, the sum q1 plus q2 plus q3 must be equal to 2q1, which makes sure that the linear sum q1 plus q2 plus q3 is also an even number. This is the main idea of constructing our LDPC satisfying constraint. Here QE1 is an ancillary qubit you just use for calculation purposes. How do we formulate distance function? We compute the proximity of like ith qubit to its respective information using the formulation here, qi minus probability that qi being 1. The probability of qi being 1 can be computed using the soft demapping of received symbols for various modulations and channels. So we can observe here that delta is minimum for a qi that has a greater probability of being the transmitted bit. Let us now understand how we embed QB's QUBO onto the quantum annealing hardware. Our decoder targets a 2,3 regular LDPC code, meaning that each check contains 3 bits, and each bit participates in 2 check constraints. So let us see the example here, Q0 plus Q4 plus Q7 minus 2 QE3. This is a degree 3 check constraint. And we represent a degree 3 check constraint in a single chimera unit cell in level 1 embedding. We have 2 levels of embedding, level 1 and level 2. In level 1, we represent a single check constraint in a single chimera unit cell using 6 qubits in the unit cell. We show here 4 types of embeddings here, type A, type B. We call them type A, type B, type C, and type B. And we choose a single scheme for a single unit cell based on the coordinate location of the unit cell. For example, in this figure, we can see that type A embedding is used for one of the unit cells. And we choose the schema type to use based on the coordinate unit cell such that the pattern of unused qubits follows this pattern. For example, in type A, we have Q1 and Q5 are unused qubits. Q5 and in type B, we have Q5 and Q2 are unused qubits. We arrange these unused qubits in a way that it forms the following pattern. This pattern now allows us to realize more number of check constraints in the embedding process. QEP scales this entire mapping onto this embedding mapping onto the entire hardware. We evaluate QEP on a DOI machine hosted at NASA Ames, and our decoder targets a 2,3 regular code with block length 420 bits. How we compute BER? We consider a decoding problem and run enough anneals for the problem. We note both the probability of a particular solution occurring and the number of bit errors in it. And we generally don't want, in practical scenarios, we don't want to perform 10 to the power 4 anneals. So we need to quantify performance for the expected BER for some number of anneals much less than 10 to the power 4 anneals. So we compute the expected BER using the formulation mentioned here. This formulation is basically the probability of a particular ith solution being the minimum energy in a sample of, when we sample NA number of anneals, what is the probability that a particular solution being the minimum energy solution? And we multiply this probability number of bit errors in I, and we sum it over all the solutions to get the BER. How is the error performance in AWGN channel? So we see that QEP lags in terms of performance with the soft BP decoding at channel SNRs less than 6 dB, but at channel SNRs greater than 6 dB, QEP's BER curves drop down quickly, reaching a BER of 10 power minus 8 at an SNR 2 to 3 dB lower than that of the BP. At a particular channel SNR, we next investigate how the distribution of problem instances are. At BER 6D, at SNR 6dB, we can see that how different computing times, how the problem instances, the BER of problem instances are distributed at different computing times, and the benefits of increasing the computing time on a QA. In the next figure, we can see the average FER performance. QEP reaches a BER of 10 power minus 6 at an SNR 2 to 3 dB lower than that of soft BP decoding. Throughput. The figure shows, the y-axis in the figure shows the throughput, and the x-axis shows an equivalent of clock frequency in FPGAs. So the blue filled region in the plot is the throughput gap between FPGAs and quantum annealer. Currently, the throughput of quantum annealer lacks that of FPGAs because of the embedding overhead. The first figure is for SNR 2 dB, and we can see as we increase the SNR to 4 dB, 6 dB, and 8 dB, we can see that the throughput gaps gets to a constant value. This is because the net throughput is 1 minus FER times processing throughput. And as SNRs increase, FER value goes to 0, and the term 1 minus FER goes near 1. And so the net throughput becomes processing throughput. So this constant gap, the blue filled region at 8 dB, is essentially the processing throughput between the QA and FPGAs. So error performance in realistic channels. So the figure shows the BER in y-axis and average SNR of the subcarriers, realistic subcarriers on x-axis. In some scenarios, like we can see, like some problem instances lie at very high BERs of 10 power minus 2. This is because this channel subcarriers experiences low range SNRs in that scenarios. Looking forward, we extrapolate the number of qubits and number of couplers, the historical number of qubits and historical number of couplers over years, and we extrapolate it to future. The plot shows that at these rates, by 2035, the QA technology is expected to deliver a machine with 1 million qubits. And in a machine with 1 million qubits, we forecast QBP to be able to decode block lengths of up to 200,000 bits, for which classical decoders do not consider implementing block lengths more than 2048 bits in a fully parallel decoder. This results in a QBP's peak processing throughput reaches up to 69.4 Gbps. Cost predictions. Current QA is a cloud-based system and costs around $2,000 per hour, which is equivalent to $17 million per year. But as usage becomes widespread, we forecast that the prices of quantum annealers may also decrease with the same trend as the classical compute prices have done since the late 20th century. So the plot shows that by 2060, we might have a QA at a cost of $600K per year. Timing considerations with the QA. Currently, the pre-processing time is around 30 to 50 milliseconds and 8 to 9 millisecond programming time. And there is an annealing time we can choose in the range of 1 microseconds to 2 milliseconds. But the processing time available for wireless technology is only 3 to 10 milliseconds. So the quantum annealers currently cannot be used in practical applications because of the embedding overhead, timing overheads, and the cost mainly. But the historical trend is encouraging, with a 5x annealing time improvement of the current state of the art QA over the circa 2011 DWave-1. In conclusion, QBP is a novel quantum-based LDPC decoder approach, which makes use of the entire QA hardware to achieve new levels of performance beyond QBP-based decoding. Further efforts are needed to generalize QBP's embedding to higher check bit decrease, and they're investing the QA technology in several parallel domains such as downlink, precoding, network security, scheduling, polar and turbo, which is a potential future work direction.